It's no secret that Range Rover is entering a period of unprecedented change, with new model lines and even hybrid technology entering the ranks of one of the world's biggest luxury car makers. For 2015 though, the British car maker has introduced a new performance element to its range. This is the Range Rover Sport SVR. It's the fastest, most powerful variant ever produced, and it even has a blistering Nürburgring lap time to its name. The SVR is the first in a new line of special operation vehicles from the Jaguar Land Rover brand. Put simply, it is the most dynamically focused model to ever wear a Range Rover badge. The SVR is based on the garden variety Range Rover Sport, but with some hefty underbody and styling tweaks, including a 5-litre supercharged V8 engine that is also found on the Jaguar F-Type R. The sharpened driveline allowed the car maker to record an 8-minute 14-second lap around the Nürburgring's Nordschleife circuit last year. So I could begin to tell you how the SVR drives in much the same way as the normal Range Rover Sport, how it retains all its off-road credentials and how it's smooth and very opulent on the road. But let's be honest, we're more worried about the dynamic capabilities of this thing more than anything else. So in that vein, I'm going to put into dynamic mode, turn the adaptive exhaust on, and off we go. The first thing that you notice is that beautiful bellowing exhaust note. It's got a lovely crackle to it and a real sort of deep hot rod sort of bellow in the way that it comes out of those quad exhaust pipes at the rear. The big challenge for Range Rover in developing this car was how to make it sporty, even though it weighs almost 2.6 tonnes on the road. I've got to say they've done a pretty good job at that. The immediate difference between this and a normal everyday sports car is the fact that you do notice a little bit more roll through corners. It requires a little bit more input with the steering, and you've got to be a little bit more aware of I guess your braking capability, but it's still a very dynamic and involving machine, and one that sort of urges you to push on and see how far you can go. So I guess the big difference between the SVR and the normal Range Rover Sport is that it's got an upgraded steering package that makes it a little bit more direct. It's also got upgraded rear subframe bushes and some extra stiffness in the chassis. The centerpiece is the 5-litre supercharged V8 engine that's also found on the Jaguar F-Type R. In this, guys, it's got 405 kilowatts of power and a stump pulling 680 newton meters of torque. Sounds excellent. Range Rover says the engine and 8-speed transmission will notch 100 kilometers an hour in just 4.7 seconds. And that's up there really with some of the world's most famous sports cars, so pretty impressive stuff. Adaptive dampers on the SVR keep the body fairly well restrained. You do know that you're in a high riding SUV, but it's just amazing. It does a good job of keeping this behemoth straight. Now at 2.6 tonnes of metal, the brakes on this car are equally or even more important than what's under the bonnet. And to that effect, the SVR has very powerful front 380mm discs teamed with 6-piston Brembo brake calipers. They do a really good job of pulling this car up. They're well modulated through the pedal. I guess after a few laps though, with all that weight and all that pressure on the disc, you'd start to be asking questions about whether you could really go lap after lap in this thing as you would in a normal sports car. But for everyday guys, they feel well suited to the task. There are other shortcomings as well, mostly relating to the SVR's huge proportions and curb weight. The standard all-weather tyres fitted to our vehicles fell well short of the task during our closed-circuit drive, and that 8-speed automatic didn't kick down straight away when asked to do so. That sonorous engine note is piped into the cabin via a digital sound symposer and can be switched on or off at the push of a button. That very function reinforces the fact that, while it's a performance-focused model, the SVR is a Range Rover first and foremost, and a very expensive one at that. Priced from $218,500 plus on-road costs, it is the most expensive model on the car maker's Australian books. However, any doubts about the sales potential of the new model are instantly quelled by the fact there is already a 6-month waiting list to get your hands on one. If anything else, the new model shows that our penchant for performance in Australia is alive and well.